Hello, it's Alyssa here. Sometimes the thought of creating a sensory space in a classroom can be really overwhelming. Or sometimes we even think, but it's so busy, how can I even make a sensory friendly space happen? But when we're creating sensory friendly spaces, it's often about being creative and sometimes even thinking outside the square as to how the different sensory needs of your students can be accommodated. So one of the things that we like to suggest first of all is to make a list of the different types of sensory needs that your students have. So it could be things like, do you have students who need lots of movement? Do you have students that need quiet space? Maybe it's about having dim lighting for some, or it could be that some of your students need lots of tactile experiences. Even if you have students that are in complete opposites to each other, don't worry about that at this point in time. It's just about making a list of all of the different sorts of needs. Because from here we go on to brainstorming about what you can do with the space that you have. So we suggest that you look objectively at the layout of your room and how we can use it or even manipulate it to cater for the different experiences that are needed. We suggest that you try and create what we call zones for different sensory learning or sensory experiences, and you can think about some of these things. Perhaps try using the area of your classroom that is away from the natural light, so away from windows, for your dimly lit space, because automatically you're taking that bright light away. Or maybe you could add some dark coloured light covers to any of the light fittings that are in a certain part of the room so that that can keep a dimly lit area. For those who need to avoid overstimulating that visual sense, you could always think about using darkly coloured paper as well, like a blue or a grey, for them to write on, or to even have coloured overlays for things that they need to read. You can use even something as simple as cellophane to help with this. So while some students might be distracted by movement, others crave it or really need it to help them to be able to focus and learn. So we suggest creating a movement space that has things like wobbly stools, maybe cushions that you can move around on, or perhaps therapy balls to sit on, or even having foot pedals under the desks or some sort of resistance bands on the chairs so that students can continue to be moving and jiggling while they're learning. It's also worthwhile keeping lots of handheld sensory aids on hand so that they can squeeze and manipulate objects while they're learning. And these are a great help with focus and also to give tactile learners something to touch and to work with. We like to think that a quiet space is best achieved by partitioning off an area and having things like headphones or earmuffs available for students to use. Busy classrooms can be really noisy, but it's well worthwhile trying to find an area that you can create a little more quiet in for those who need that quiet to focus and to be able to learn. So when you have your zones in place, this is where you then look at gathering your equipment. And remember that it doesn't cost a lot of money to have equipment for sensory friendly spaces. You might actually find that you already have resources lying around that you can adapt, or there might be equipment that you can loan or that somebody else on your staff is happy for you to borrow to try out. You might even find that families have equipment that their children use at home and that they're happy for their kids to bring them to school and use them there. So ask around and you might be really surprised with what you can come up with. And if your school is looking to fit out a sensory space in different areas, it could be worthwhile looking to see if there's any funding or community grants available to access to help you to do this. But look, when it comes to it, the most important thing is about acknowledging and validating your students' sensory experiences and their needs and trying to understand how you can best work with those. And also it's about encouraging other students to learn how we can support each other and to be supportive of this as well. So good luck. Uh, can't wait to see some of the outcomes of sensory friendly spaces.